Hello and welcome to PMQs, NSFW PMQs with Graham Hughes. It is Wednesday, the 6th of July 2022, and we're just about to go into Prime Minister's questions. So I will shrink myself down so I'm nice and small, and you can listen in as the dickhead himself gets to his feet. Here he is, Boris Johnson, everyone. The soon-to-be deposed Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Fuck off, tax cut for a decade. Go on, say it. Say it. Go on. Say
people across the UK.
Say it. Say
and I'm pleased to
vaccines.
say
Go
that
on.
two of those people are seated here in the public gallery today. Mandy Banfield and Alan Calzari.
16 of your ministers have resigned, mate. 16 have resigned. 16 of them. Hello. Are you with us? Man, oh man, this is embarrassing. This is really sordid and embarrassing.
2022 tournament, which starts today, and I'm sure they will.
I don't know if I'm coming through. If I am coming through, please give me a message.
Meetings with ministerial colleagues and others.
Because I'm not seeing anything at the moment.
In addition to my duties in this house, I expect I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, sir.
Who's this?
Last week we launched a new approach to combating knife crime in Milton Keynes, which means increased use of stop and search. It means tougher charging and custody, tougher sentencing, faster youth diversion, and more work with parents.
Do not think I'm coming through.
Would the Prime Minister agree with me that if you carry a knife in Milton Keynes, you should expect to end up behind bars?
Yes, I thank my honourable friend for what he's doing to campaign for tougher sentences in Milton Keynes.
I'm really sorry about this. I can't believe this is the day that Boris Johnson looks like he's going to resign, and my fucking PMQs is frozen.
Certain offences involving a knife, including threatening with a knife, or a second offence of possession, face a minimum sentence of 6 months imprisonment, Mr. Speaker. And guess who voted against tougher sentences for knife crime?
Shut up, you eternal twat.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Come on, Keir. Tell him to fuck off.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is the start of the Women's Euros, and I know the whole House will wish the Lionesses the very best of luck in bringing football home. Mr. Speaker, it's also... Mr. Speaker, it's also been 40 years since the death of Terence Higgins. Terence worked at Hansard by day and Heaven by night before he sadly died of AIDS. The Labour Party and the Terence Higgins Trust are committed to ending new cases of HIV by 2030.
I'm going to put down my bit rate loads.
Mr. Speaker, last week, a government minister was accused of sexually assaulting a young man.
Yep.
I want to quote the victim's account. He says, "He grabbed my arse and then he slowly moved his hand down in front of my groin. I froze." I accept that's not easy listening, but it's a reminder to all those propping up this Prime Minister just how serious the situation is. Isn't this the first recorded case
try that again,
of
shall
the
we?
sinking ships fleeing the rat?
The sinking ships fleeing the rat.
He talks about...
Absolutely.
He should hear what his lot say about him, Mr. Speaker.
He hasn't had 16 of his close colleagues resign, mate. That's just you. That's literally just you.
Into number 10.
Oh God, Jeremy Corbyn. He's going on about Jeremy Corbyn. This is all he's got now. He's going on about Jeremy Corbyn. Jesus Christ, man. Has he no dignity? Has he no self-respect? Oh my God, this is quite impressive. Oh no, he's talking about Brexit again! He's talking about Brexit! Oh my giddy aunt, this is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. He's talking, go on, vaccination. Say vaccination. Come on.
against sanctions on criminals.
Duke, is that oh for fuck's sake because this isn't working, or is it oh for fuck's sake because of what this cunt is saying? Please tell me, because I'm freaking out here that these fucking broadcasts aren't fucking working because I decided to stop paying the membership fee to Restream and I'm back on the free service, which used to be quite good, actually. Sorry, talking over Boris Johnson there, but he can go fuck himself to death, so, you know.
And as for those who are left, only in office because no one else is prepared to debase themselves any longer.
I'm really interlaced.
The charge of the lightweight brigade.
Hey, hey, I like it. Call in Captain Hindsight as well. Call in Captain Hindsight. It's funny. Charge of the lightweight brigade.
He's had them defending his decision to promote a sexual predator.
Yeah.
Every day, the lines he's forced them to take have been untrue.
Yeah.
First, that he was unaware of any allegation. Untrue. Then he was unaware of any specific allegation. Untrue. Then he was unaware of any serious specific allegation. And now he wants them to go out and say that he simply forgot that his whip was a sexual predator.
He forgot.
Anyone with anything about them would be long gone from his front bench. In the middle of a crisis, doesn't the country deserve better than a Z-list cast of nodding dogs?
Yeah, hey, hey, hey.
Well, Mr. Speaker,
Z-list cast
it's when,
of nodding
it's exactly
dogs.
When,
Love it.
When times are
Love
tough
it.
and when the country faces pressures on the economy.
Can someone tell me if this is streaming okay in the comments? Can someone just let me know in the comments here? Is it streaming okay? Let me know.
That is when
Oh, shut up, you festering pustule of fucking syphilis, you disgusting blob. Go on, fuck off, you horrible little twat. You absolute gobshite. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? They all hate you. They all hate you. Look at Stephen Barclay there, just sitting there because he's going, I'm in the government, I'm going to be in charge of, I'm going to be in charge of the health service. Yeah, for 5 fucking minutes. Thanks, Emmy.
The only thing he's delivering is chaos.
Yes.
I started
Chaos
this
with
session with a
Miliband.
quote from the young victim in all this, how he froze when he was attacked.
Yes.
When I was prosecuting rapists, I heard that from victims all the time. Victims said they froze because it's not about sex, it's about power.
Power. Yeah.
And the power the disgraced government minister had was handed to him by that Prime Minister.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
And he's only in
You disgrace! You scumbag! You absolute sack of shit!
Party defending the indefensible.
Defending rapists, defending sexual molesters.
It's no longer a case about swapping the person at the top. Isn't it clear? The only way the country can get the fresh start it deserves is by getting rid of the lot of them.
Yeah. That wasn't really a question, that was more of a statement, mate. Thanks, Joe. And Richard. Go on, resign! Resign! Resign!
We've got to get through Prime Minister's questions. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the
fucking resign.
difference between this government and that opposition is we have a plan and they do not. And we're getting on it. They want to focus on this type of issue, Mr. Speaker. We're going to get on with our jobs. We're going to control prices, Mr. Speaker, by not giving in to the union barons. They're paid.
Giving in to the union barons. The RMT union. I've not been affiliated with Labour for 18 years. But whatever, mate. Whatever. You disgusting blob. Mention vaccines. Mention vaccines. Corbyn. Vaccines. Go on.
Mr. Corbyn into number 10.
There you go. Corbyn.
But 8 of them,
Boris fucking bingo. He's playing his greatest hits.
The shadow deputy leader.
This is so shabby. This is so shabby. He's just pointing his finger at them. They're going to CND. Yeah, nuclear weapons. There you go, CND. You mentioned that. Right, yeah, cutting. They wanted to do these things, but they're not got a chance to do them because they didn't get into power. You did, you horrible little mountain of mad flesh. Go fuck yourself to death, you absolute shite bag. Fucking hell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. On Monday night, the Northern Ireland Legacy Bill reached its 3rd reading. And so with it, the beginning of the end of the journey, a long journey to make sure the service and sacrifice of those who served in Iraq, Afghanistan, and now Northern Ireland is not rewritten, by those who seek only to line their own pockets. But would the Prime Minister agree with me that never again can we allow such a gulf to open up between this place and those who serve? Never again must they be made to feel like we are not on their side. And will he redouble his commitment to make sure this is the best country in the world to serve?
Oh, fuck off. Sorry, I'm just resetting the video feed here, so you're just going to have to bear with me for a second. It's just a softball question from Johnny Mercer, who's like I don't know, he's something
Thanks,
minister.
my honourable friend, very much. I thank you for all the work that you've done
something minister
for veterans.
Oh no, he's veterans.
This
He's
bill
a veteran
will give
guy.
veterans the certainty they deserve
right, that's been
and
reset.
fulfilling of the manifesto
really
pledge
to
end the cycle of investigations.
Thought I had it fixed,
but also
and
at
then
the
I
same time making sure
go
that
live,
families
and it
can
wasn't
get the
working,
answers
and
they
I
need
was getting
about what happened
comments
to their
coming
loved
up,
ones.
and, yeah, all
We
a bit of
now
a
come
nightmare.
to the leader of the SNP, Ian Black.
Right, come on, Ian Blackford. Come on, kick his ass.
Can I give every best wish to the England and Northern Ireland ladies football team as they approach the Euro Championships? There's nothing better than seeing your teams in these finals. Can we also commemorate the passing 40 years ago of Terence Higgins and all those that have died from AIDS and Sen? And I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, the whole House will want to join with me in passing condolences to the family of friends of the Scottish football goalkeeping legend Andy Gorham, who sadly passed far too early last weekend. He will long live in the memory of the best goalkeeper that many of us have seen. Mr. Speaker, it's easy to forget that only 10 days ago the Prime Minister was dreaming of a third term. Mr. Speaker, it's often said that a week is a long time in politics, but it turns out that 10 days is truly a lifetime. Because, let's face it, it's a minor miracle that the Prime Minister has even made it through to Prime Minister's questions, and he really ought to see the faces behind him, because, Prime Minister, it really is over. The Prime Minister is desperately clinging on to his own fantasy, but the public can't afford to put up with this farce of a government a minute longer. Today, we should be talking about the Tory cost of living crisis, soaring inflation, and the growing cost of Brexit. But instead, it's always about him.
It's always about
How many more ministers need to quit before he finally picks up his pen and writes his own resignation letter? Perhaps that's what he's doing now.
He's right.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, I was just jotting down some notes on his question, which I thought was excellent when he was talking about the economy, because that is the issue that is the country faces, and that is where this government is introducing, I think, the most important solution, helping countries, helping families up and down the country with £1,200 going into their bank accounts right now, cutting taxes for 30 million people, £330 tax, and helping 500,000 people into work through the Way to Work scheme. That is a fantastic thing to be getting on and doing. That is the priority of this government, and that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm glad he likes it.
Ian Blackford.
My goodness, nothing to see. We should all move on if we live in the world of the Prime Minister. You know, a few weeks ago I compared the Prime Minister to Monty Python's Black Knight. Actually, turns out I was wrong. He's actually the dead parrot.
Yes.
Whether he knows it or not, he's now an ex-Prime Minister. But he will leave behind two deeply damaging legacies.
He will.
I hope the dishonesty of his leadership follows him out of the Downing Street door.
Yes.
But the other legacy...
It won't, because there'll
that
still be
of
Tories in charge.
And that will stay. Because I'm sad to say that the Labour Party now fully supports Mr. Speaker, Scotland wants a different future, not just a different Prime Minister. So if the Prime Minister won't resign, will he call a general election and allow Scotland the choice of an independent future, free from the control of Westminster?
Yes.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I
Go on, have an election. Go on.
The Labour Party have given up on returning to the European Union was not greeted with rapture by the benches.
Don't resign. Just have a general election.
That's not true.
Have a general election.
They want to go back in.
Go on.
Just as
have an election.
I think that is a
have an election. Go on. Have an election. I want you to have a fucking election. I want you to be absolutely decimated. I want there to be 3 bloody Labour Conservative MPs left by the end of all this carnage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Prime Minister think there are any circumstances in which he should resign?
That's from a Conservative. Go fuck yourself, you big blob.
Come on. Speaker, clearly, if if there were circumstances in which I felt it was impossible for the government to go on and discharge the mandate that we've been given, or if I felt, for instance, that we were being frustrated in our desire to support the Ukrainian people, or over some major point, then I would. But frankly, Mr. Speaker, the job of a Prime Minister in difficult circumstances,
is not to resign.
when he's been handed a colossal mandate, is to keep going. And
colossal mandate. 16 of your fucking ministers have resigned, you daft prick.
There you have it, Mr. Speaker. Once again, the Prime Minister, he puts political survival before public duty.
Yeah.
But people can see, even if he goes, it's not an if, it's a when, isn't it? Yeah. The same Westminster arrogance will continue to dictate our futures in Wales. Yeah. Does he want a medal for being the best recruiting sergeant for independence we could wish for?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, you are.
Mr. Speaker,
absolute gobshite. You lying sack of shit.
I had a great talk
lying sack of shit. You horrible, horrible man.
As well as talking
you horrible
to
little gropey, sex pest, cunt of a man. Absolute fucking rancid bastard.
I'm confident that they will continue to do so.
Go fuck yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government's town centre and levelling up funds have been very successful around the country, but there are a few town centres, like Waterlooville in Mearn Valley, that are in desperate straits and haven't managed to get any funding, get a scheme into the present round of funding.
Her name's Flick. Oh my God.
Friend, assure me that future
if you think about that in cursive writing,
you've
got to be very careful how you write the word Flick.
Become fit for the 21st century. And survive the post-pandemic.
Yeah. Oh, I'm tremendously bored. My name's Flick, probably short for Felicity. She didn't go to the local fucking comp, did she?
Minister for Levelling Up at the earliest opportunity.
You don't level up, Boris. Just made the rest of us fucking poor then.
Thank you,
anyone
Mr.
who's
Speaker.
not
The
a
public
multimillionaire.
clearly thinks that this government has lost the plot over the cost of living crisis. The Prime Minister may be aware that the average salary for a nurse is £36,000. For a primary teacher, it is £38,000. They, and indeed working people everywhere, are struggling to pay their rents and their mortgages. Given they can barely afford a £150,000 mortgage on a new home, can he tell this House how he could afford a £150,000 treehouse?
Yes. Yeah. Well, very well paid. I do. I don't do anything. Don't make a decision. Don't make a fucking decision. Let 180,000 people fucking die on his fucking watch when we live on a fucking island, you daft cunt. Stupid, murderous bastard. Fucking Fred Westminster over there, you fucking horrible blob.
Up and down the country.
Go fuck yourself.
Thanks to the strength of our economy, we're helping exactly the people he describes with £1,200 going into their bank accounts.
Yeah, Richard, I don't know what's wrong with my connection. I think it's to do with Restream, who I restream this through.
The Prime Minister knows
is why it's
he's Prime Minister. I want him to do all the good he can.
Like this.
Why is Prime Minister's Green and Pleasant Land?
Here's the cable.
I'm
actually attached to the internet.
About the Goring Gap, the Chatsmore Farm, or to the Department of
BT don't guarantee upload speeds.
The land above
we haven't had a
Goring
problem with it for months.
The farm in Worthing, which was fully protected and will be fully protected when another inspector says Worthing Council protected will happen. Can I ask him to tell the government to withdraw their objection to Worthing Council's appeal against the absurd decision by a planning inspector to allow 482 homes to go on this green lung between Goring and Ferry?
The speaker should pull him off and just answer the question.
I thank the Right Honourable John very much, and he campaigns on this issue for some time.
The speaker
I will
is
make sure
a
that he
bullshit
gets
enabler.
a meeting with the relevant minister to discuss
good point, Emmy,
the development in Goring by sea.
Ian Legray. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the 21st of January, the government committed £100 million from the Automotive Transformation Fund to British Wool to a gigafactory in my constituency, Camas, Wansbeck.
That's been sacked off,
and as of today, Prime Minister, not a penny, not a single halfpenny is being received by
the 40 hospitals, mate.
And
it's with the world-beating vaccine rollout, the 40 fucking hospitals, and the rest of his fucking lies.
The tensions between the Prime Minister and the former Chancellor have sadly now been much exposed. And I'm telling you, Prime Minister, the betrayal of my constituents cannot be another broken promise of this government. Prime Minister, give him a nudge. please instruct your new bestie to make sure that the cheque is in the post this afternoon, because who knows who'll be in that seat this time this afternoon, never mind next week.
Yeah.
Can I congratulate the honourable gentleman on the passion with which he advocates investment in British folk? And I totally share his enthusiasm. And actually, I want to thank my honourable friend, member for Blythe Valley as well, who is a heroic campaigner on this issue. I can tell him that the letter was sent last night. Mr. Speaker.
The check's in the post! The ultimate check's in the fucking post! The check is in the post! Oh my god! The most dishonest, lying, slippery fucking door-to-door salesman of a Prime Minister. The check is in the post.
In which the
You just heard
poorest nations face catastrophic consequences.
Oh God,
Will
look at
the
this
Prime
little
Minister
cunt here,
take
look
all
at this
possible
fucking
action to
fabric
negotiate
cunt.
and facilitate access
Stays
to
in
the
his
grain
fucking
stores
wig, man.
stranded in
What a
Ukraine?
sad little bastard.
We have a limited opportunity
Fucking
to
hell.
avert famine in developing nations, and the UK must play its full part using all the resources
go
at our
fuck
disposal.
yourself,
My right honourable friend is
Tell
completely
Boris
right.
Johnson to
And
fuck
there are
off.
25 million
Tell
tonnes of
Boris
wheat that are
Johnson
basically being held
to
hostage by
fuck
Putin. That's equivalent to the annual consumption of many of the least
bag of
developed
cheese.
countries, and we're helping to
vile,
lift that blockade,
vile individual.
not just by negotiation, but also by supplying demining equipment, insurance for the commercial ships that might be involved.
Sounds like the
and
drunk guy
also
from the Fast
10
Show.
million
That's what
to
he
help
is. He's the
improve
drunk guy from the Fast
railway
Show.
infrastructure that would be necessary to get the grain out by rail.
Fucking, he's got stuff written down. So he gets these questions in advance.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister said that he is fed up of people saying things on his behalf. It's not just him that's fed up, so are the British people and his ministers who are resigning. They're sick of time and time again being sent out by him to say things that aren't true. Is the real problem him or them for believing him in the first place?
Mr. Speaker, I thank him very much, and look, I want to be clear. What I want to say is
it not a lie if you forget?
I say
is
it
that
again.
the way you get round it?
I regret
when his wife says, "Were you being sucked off by your bit on the side while I was getting treated for cancer?" And he said, "Oh, I can't remember that."
What I knew at the time.
Obviously,
but I want to
I
stress
wasn't
that
lying.
I take this matter extremely seriously.
No, you don't, mate. You
I'm
don't take any matter seriously, like a fucking overgrown toddler. You're a fucking idiot. You're a sexually incontinent piece of shit. You're a walking bag of used condoms and phlegm. You are disgusting. You are a horrible man. Your dad was a fucking wife beater. You probably fucking slapped your carry around because the fucking police were called. And apparently it was the neighbour's fault.
Confidential, and I think we've got to stop referring to something that we don't know that. And I want to put the House on notice that we don't mention it. Teresa Villiers.
What does Eton teach? Had to be a cunt.
Just over a fortnight ago, 2 horrific fatal stabbings took place in a quiet street in East Barnet. With the Metropolitan Police now in special measures for the first time in its history, will the Prime Minister urge the Mayor of London to start living up to his responsibilities as Commissioner? To get a grip on crime, he needs to give Barnet its fair share of new officers, and he needs to abandon his plans to sell Barnet police stations.
I do notice, Mr. Speaker, that crime has spiked since the previous Mayor of London, and it is
crime
the
has
Labour Party
spiked under your government.
Stop and search, Mr. Speaker,
your
that
government.
Against increased funding
your
for the police.
government.
As for the Labour
You've
Mayor,
been in charge for 12 fucking years, you cock! You absolute shite bag! You've been in charge for 12 fucking years, and you're still blaming everybody else.
The NHS Confederation, not a single one of the so-called 40 new
hospitals.
Yeah,
not a single one.
Promised at the last election will be built by 2024. 2 of those new hospitals are in my constituency. Hammersmith opened in 1902 and Charing Cross opened in 1818. They're not new hospitals and there's no building going on.
Yep.
Like all his promises, they exist only
Barkley
in his
sitting there.
warped imagination.
Nothing going on in his head. A bit of Homer Simpson. You just see inside his brain. There's nothing
Prime
there.
Minister's questions, will he finally tell us the truth?
finally tell us the truth.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, if you look at what we promised and what we did, we said we'd get 20,000 police out on the streets. We've actually got 13,500 more.
Bullshit. Lies. Motherfucking lies. Stop lying, you sack of shit. You absolute gobshite. Stop fucking lying. All you do is lie. You are a pathological liar. Every time someone goes, look, this is X, you go, no, it's Y. He says, look, this is black. You go, no, it's white. You would say the opposite of what the reality is. That is fucking gaslighting.
The Prime Minister said at a table, but there were 7 people, MPs in the Carlton Club last week, and one of them should have tried to intervene to stop Chris from drinking so much. As if that wasn't insulting enough to the people who did try and intervene that night, and then also to the victims that drink was the problem. Isn't it the example, Mr. Speaker, but it's the Prime Minister constantly tries to deflect from the issue, always tries to blame other people for mistakes, and that at least nothing left for him to do other than to take responsibility and resign.
Fucking resign, gobshite!
Can I just say, you ought to be embarrassed by clapping. This is
fuck off. I'm fucking clapping. I can fucking clap. Shut up, you whining twat. You whining northern twat.
Questions. I want to get through the questions.
Yourself.
There's other people
want to catch my eye. Fucking woolly back. Shut the fuck up. Gobshite.
Mr. Speaker, there's a very simple reason why they want me out. And that is because...
Why they want you out? Because you're a gobshite, you're a liar, you're a cheat, you're a fraud, you're a shite bag.
That otherwise, we are going to get on and deliver our mandate and win another general election. And that is the reality, Mr. Speaker.
Vera Wilson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister once wrote, "It is a wonderful and necessary fact of political biology that we never know when our time is up. Long after it is obvious to everyone that we are goners, we continue to believe our duty is to hang on to the perks and privileges of our posts. In reality, we are just terrified of the come down. So for the sake of this great country, will the Prime Minister heed the advice of his former self, get over his terror, and do the decent thing?"
Mr. Speaker, I refer the honourable lady to the answer I've just given. When things are tough, of course people turn their fire on the leader of the country, but it is my job to get on and deliver our manifesto, which we are, and to deliver on the mandate on which I was elected, and to get this country through tough times, just as we got it through COVID. And that is what I'm going to do.
Fucking gobshite. Fucking lying sack of shit.
Around 1,000.
Oh, hello.
I apologise.
Got no voice.
Around 1,000 delegates from 100
Why would you stand up when you got no fucking voice?
Are at the Freedom of Religion or Belief International Ministerial Conference over at the QE2 Centre.
Inquiring minds need to know.
To visit.
As Boris Johnson be making demands.
Agree with me that this significant conference will count for nothing unless it results in concerted global action to promote and protect freedom of religion or belief around the world.
Early bird there saying it's amazing how much the Speaker allows Boris Johnson to lie every other fucking word, but when it comes to like someone clapping, you're like, no, you can't do that. You can't call him a lie.
Security. And I thank her for the work she's doing as my own envoy on that subject, and also.
And I'll see you later, darling. Hey, about that, baby cakes. Wink, wink.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Will the Prime Minister join me in expressing my deepest condolences to those injured and affected by the explosion at a block of flats at Redwood Grove, Bedford, on Monday, which has sadly led to the death of one resident, with others yet to be accounted for. This is a timely reminder of the dangerous work undertaken by the fire service. So will the Prime Minister join me in praising the emergency services who were at the scene, and also reconsider his 2% pay offer when firefighters have endured a real terms pay cuts of 12% over the last decade?
I thank him very much, and as he
Mr. Speaker, that man is a liar. Speaker.
Support for the firefighters of our country. They do an incredible job. And overall, it's a testament to their work that deaths from fire over a long period have, on average, been decreasing thanks to the work that they put in.
Yeah, but also the fact that less people are smoking these days.
A public sector review body offer and do our best
materials
to
are
fund
as
much as we can. But everybody knows the inflationary pressures that this country
flammable
is
fucking cladding that your cunt government still hasn't got rid of on thousands of buildings in the UK.
David Johnson.
Got rid of them all in Australia. Couldn't do it here. Didn't have the money. Too busy spaffing it up the wall to his mates.
This village because this 160. Wait for it. Because this 160 home village committed to take 50 Ukrainian refugees. And it has them all with them now. In the gallery today, there is a group of those hosts and some of the Ukrainians that they are hosting, including 2 young people who hope to go into Ukrainian politics in the future. Will my right honourable friend join me in welcoming them to this place and in thanking North Moulton for their efforts?
I thank him very much for what he's doing to host young Ukrainians. Thank everybody actually in this house who's looking after Ukrainians. I think a lot of people are doing that. And can I say, I believe it's the wish of this entire house that those young people should grow up to live in a free, independent, democratic and sovereign Ukraine.
Right, I've got to reset the video
the Prime Minister doesn't like walkouts and strikes.
The audio and the visual,
what legislation will he be introducing to stop further walkouts and strikes amongst his cabinet colleagues?
We've only got another 7 minutes left, so I'm going to leave it actually, and then once PMQs is over, I'll be staying here because Sajid Javid's going to be making the speech.
Mr. Speaker, I think that the whole House will have observed the brilliant performance on the radio this morning by the new Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Is the Prime Minister a liar? No.
And that's no
Has he ever lied?
No. To the former Chancellor of the Exchequer. But what I think it shows, Mr. Speaker, is that in common with many sectors of the UK economy, there is a ready supply of skilled labour in the upper reaches of the Conservative Party.
David Davis. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to draw the Prime Minister's attention to the words he used in response to my right honourable friend, the member for Worthing, when he asked the question earlier.
It's a little fast show sketch, isn't it?
6 months ago, I called on the Prime Minister to resign because even then it was clear that his approach to leadership and integrity was already creating a pipeline of problems that will paralyse proper government. Today, I ask him to do the honourable thing, to put the interests of the nation before his own interests, and before, in his own words, it does become impossible for government to do its job.
Prime Minister.
Go on.
I thank him very much for the point that he's made again. I've just got to, I respect, I just
getting on with the job. I'm getting on with the job.
With him more.
I'm getting on with the job.
Look at what the government is doing.
If no one likes me, no one supports me.
For 30 million
my cabinet is falling apart.
We've just completed a programme.
And 149 MPs did have no confidence in me. And then I went and lost 2 by-elections.
Our economy, thanks to the position that we're now in, which was because of decisions that we took.
Decisions to allow a sexual predator to be a deputy chief whip. Decisions that meant that 180,000 people in this country died. The decisions to put a ring of protection, he said, around our care homes, which he didn't fucking do, because he's a fucking liar. This man is the world's biggest liar. He is a cunt, he is a liar. Don't believe a word he says.
The Local Government Association has told us that over 400 families who've come to this country from Ukraine under the family scheme have subsequently presented themselves as homeless to local authorities. Because the local authorities haven't got enough accommodation, those people are going to end up in temporary accommodation. There's a simple answer. Local authorities could be allowed to contact the many thousands of people who volunteered to provide homes under the Homes for Ukraine scheme. The problem is the government doesn't allow families to transfer from the family scheme to the home scheme. When will the Prime Minister act to ensure people who've come thousands of miles to this country aren't placed in temporary accommodation, but we take on the generosity of those families who are willing to offer them a home?
I thank you very much for the very valuable point that he's raised, and we'll make sure that families are able to cross over from one scheme to another, and to simplify simplify and speed up the process.
Why
but
make
I don't
that
think
the
that
last
should
question?
take away,
I mean, I care.
Mr.
I do
Speaker,
care,
from the
obviously,
generosity
about
of this
Ukrainian
country
refugees and all
in
refugees, for
welcoming
that matter, but
Ukrainians.
I would've made my last question, why didn't you go and,
135,000
fuck
visas have so far
Why are
been
you such a
issued
fucking
through
liar?
our uncapped scheme,
Are
both
you
the
a liar,
family
Prime
scheme
Minister?
and the homes
Do you tell
Ukraine
lies?
scheme.
Or
It's
do you have
changing the
dementia?
lives of
One of
those
the two.
Ukrainians, and I think
No
we
one
should all
can
be
forget that
proud
much
of
stuff.
what we are doing.
He forgot
We
that
now
he
come
called
to the
him Pincher
personal
by name, Pincher
statement
meant nature.
I call Sajid Javid.
Okay, here we go. Hang on. You might miss just the very beginning of this because I'm just going to reset the screen. But hopefully it'll just be him saying that he's very glad to be there or something.
Prayer breakfast.
Here we go.
And we listened, all of us, to the words of Reverend Les Isaac, who spoke about the fact that responsibility that comes with leadership, the responsibility to serve the interests of others above your own, and to seek common ground of your party, your community, and above all, your country. Now, colleagues will be forgiven for my sense of déjà vu. Despite what it might seem, I am not one of life's quitters. I didn't quit when I was told that boys like me don't do maths. I didn't quit when old school bankers said I didn't have the right school ties. And I didn't quit when people in my community said that I should not marry the love of my life. I care deeply about public service and giving back to this country that has given me so much. That is why, when I got the call from my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, just over a year ago, I didn't hesitate to serve again. It was a critical time for our country. Tough decisions needed to be made about when we were going to come out of lockdown, about supporting the National Health Service and the care sector under unprecedented strain.
Yeah, because the previous Health Secretary had to resign in disgrace.
Of my life to have been trusted with these responsibilities, and I can only hope that my best has been good enough. It has undoubtedly also been one of the toughest roles that I've had so far. The gravity of Home Office decisions, the scale of Treasury decisions, but nothing matters more than the health of your people, of the British people, especially and in the wake of a pandemic. Caring for people's health and well-being is truly a noble vocation. And so I would like to take this opportunity to pay tribute to all of those across the country working in health and care sectors, as well as those that I work so closely with in my old department, DHSC, and in the NHS. There is so much that I planned for the long-term reform of our health and care systems, and it is a wrench to leave that important work behind. Now, when I last gave a personal statement from this seat,
there's a guy there getting a stain out of his tie.
I spoke about the importance of institutions and conventions.
Guy behind him.
Today, it is about the importance of integrity. And don't worry, there's not going to be a series of these. Institutions and integrity are both central pillars that underpin our great democracy. It doesn't matter what your political perspective is in this House. I believe that we are all motivated by the national interest.
That's kind of creepy.
And that the public expects us all of us, to maintain honesty and to maintain integrity in whatever we do. This is not an abstract matter. We've seen in great democracies what happens when divisions are entrenched and not bridged. We cannot allow that to happen here. We must bring the country together as one nation. Effective governance inevitably requires loyalty and collective responsibility. Of course it does. And I'm instinctively a team player. And I have completely focused on governing effectively over the last year. But treading the tightrope between loyalty and integrity has become impossible in recent months.
Jump in the fucking sea. You never had any
integrity. And Mr. Speaker, I will never risk losing my integrity.
Tories don't have integrity.
I also believe a team is as good as its team captain, and that a captain is as good as his or her team. So loyalty must go both ways.
Yep.
The events of recent months have made it increasingly difficult to be in that team.
Lied to your stupid bollocky face.
It's not fair on ministerial colleagues to go out every morning defending lines that don't stand up and don't hold up. Yeah. It's not fair on my parliamentary colleagues who bear the brunt of constituents' dismay in their inboxes and on their doorsteps in recent elections.
Look at this guy.
And it's not fair
fucking
on
asshole,
Conservative
fucking
members and
fabricant.
voters
Sitting
who
there.
rightly expect better standards from the party they supported. When the first stories of parties in Downing Street emerged late last year, I was personally assured at the most senior level by my right honourable friend's then team that, and I quote, there had been no parties in Downing Street and no rules were broken. So I gave the benefit of doubt.
Told he's been lied to.
And I went on those media rounds to say that
yeah.
I'd had those assurances from the most senior level of the Prime Minister's team.
Back behind him.
Then we had more stories. We had the Sue Gray report, a new Downing Street team. I continued to give the benefit of the doubt.
He didn't
and
deserve
now this
it.
week again,
Not for one
we have
second.
reason to question
How
the
did I know
truth and
Boris Johnson was a
integrity of
fucking
what
liar
we've
25
all
years
been
ago?
told.
Where have you been?
And at some point, we have to conclude that enough is enough.
Yes.
I believe that point is now.
Yeah.
I welcome the Prime Minister's public acknowledgement last night that matters could have been handled better in who he appointed and what was said about what he knew when.
He was part of the senior
And I
levels.
appreciated his kind and humble words and his humble spirit when I went to see him yesterday, and also the kind letter that he has sent to me.
He's very nice.
But I do fear that the reset button can only work so many times.
Murdering 180,000 people.
There's only so many times you can turn that machine on and off before you realise that something is fundamentally wrong.
Yes.
Last month,
emphasis on the word mental.
I
though,
gave the
fundamental.
benefit of doubt one last time. But I haven't concluded that the problem starts at the top. That is not going to change. I have concluded that the problem starts at the top, and I believe that is not going to change. And that means that it is for those of us in a position who have responsibility to make that change. I wish my Cabinet colleagues well, and I can see they have decided to remain in the Cabinet. They will have their own reasons. But it is a choice. I know just how difficult that choice is. But let's be clear. Not doing something is an active decision.
Yes.
I am deeply concerned about how the next generation will see the Conservative Party on our current course. Our reputation
What about the current
after
generation,
12
mate?
years in government depends on regaining the public's trust.
Yeah, you've lost that, mate.
This is not just a personal matter. The philosophy and perception of Conservatives depends on it. It is central to the Conservative ideal that we believe in decency, in personal responsibility,
No, he's
and
taking
in
the
social
piss.
justice
Decency.
enabled by conventions and
Decency.
the rule of law.
Tory doesn't know what the
The
fucking word
Conservative
means.
mission to extend freedom and prosperity and opportunity is all at risk if we cannot uphold that ideal. And, Mr. Speaker, it is not only the Conservative Party is not the only great institution in need of urgent repair. Like everyone in this House, I have been dismayed by the drip of stories of harassment and worse by members of this House. So I'm also concerned about how the next generation will see this House and the health of our democracy. In recent years, trust in our roles has been undermined through a series of scandals. But the one thing we can control is our own values and behaviours. So it is incumbent on all of us to set high standards for ourselves and to take action when they are not.
You're in a party. You're in a party that has no standards. You daft
Mr.
swat.
Speaker, I'm
Oh my
grateful for
God,
the
you
messages of
fucking
support
gobshite.
that I've had from many members
You're
of
in
this
a
House
party
and
that
beyond.
has no morals, no decency, no
Not
fucking
important
honour.
to do something, not to be somebody.
Go on, fuck off, the lot of yous.
So it is hard in
Jump
one
in the
way,
fucking sea.
but not in another. Being a good father, a husband, a
Yeah, too
son,
much
and a
COVID.
citizen is good enough for me. And if I can continue to contribute to public life and my party from the backbenches,
Contribute to public
it will be a
life
privilege
by getting
to
the
do
fuck out of Parliament and never coming back.
Can I
First
say
floor,
to the
give up your
House,
seat.
there
Give
will
it to a
be
Labour
no more
candidate.
personal
Or a Lib Dem.
statements today.
Bye, Boris. Bye, Boris. Someone just shouted, bye, Boris. They've cut the sound.
The House leave in peace and quiet.
He's like a shit vicar, isn't he? Fuck off, shit vicar. What are you doing today, shit vicar? All right, here we go. I'm going to make myself big. Hey, not that way. Hey, calm down, you. Right, there we go. Make myself big. So we are seeing people moving out of Parliament now, shuffling out, and yeah, there you have it. That was Savage Javid's resignation speech there, saying basically that Boris Johnson's a pile of shit, and the party he's been a member of all of his adult life, the party he's been a minister in, he was Chancellor of the Exchequer for a week, and then he was in charge of health for a little bit. All of that was going down the fucking pan, and he didn't notice because he's a fucking idiot. I wonder what's happening now. Oh, there's an update. Okay, they're updating the House on their support for Sweden and Finland joining NATO. Right, I'm gonna turn that off. I'm really sorry about my technical problems at the beginning. I thought I had ironed them all out, and then when I actually started, it turned out that I didn't have your comments coming up. And when I looked into it, it's because when I made a new Restream account, you've got to do the comments separately to come up, and you'll notice they're not actually formatted the way I normally format them. But whatevs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a little discussion with you guys, ladies and gents, about how long you reckon he's got. How long do you reckon Boris Johnson has got before the gobshite has to damn well resign as well. Design his resigning. So basically, what we just saw was Boris Johnson vowing to fight on, even though not just the Labour, Lib Dem, SNP, Plaid Cymru were all against him. Also, members of his own party standing up and calling him a cunt. In not so many words, because you can't call someone a cunt in Parliament. Actually, you might be able to. You're not allowed to call someone a liar, but I've got a feeling you might be able to call someone a cunt. Especially if they are, like Boris Johnson, an absolute fucking cunt. So Emmy's saying the head of Young Conservatives from the news earlier, saying she wants him gone. I saw her on BBC News, head of Young Conservatives. God, imagine being a young Conservative. Imagine being that young and not having a soul. Imagine being that young and not idealistic in any way, and not hope for a better future for yourself or your future children or your future grandchildren. Imagine being young and a Conservative. What a horrible place to be. Imagine being that despondent about the future, that all you can think of is, oh, do you know what? I mean, they wouldn't talk like that. They'll talk like this. Hey, you know what? Oh, I've got lots of money and I want to protect it, so I've always got lots of money. Oh, I'm going to make a Conservative. Oh. But, I mean, that's for the people who don't really probably take notice of that much in politics. But this girl is the head of fucking the Young Conservatives. Jesus Christ. That's kind of painful. I always remember when I was in university at Manchester back in the 90s, and God, I'm old. And there would always be the Freshers' Fair in Freshers' Week, and you'd have all these different societies, like the Revolutionary Socialists and those knobheads, and then you'd have Labour lot, you'd have the Lib Dems, who are very bland. They were all very, very nice people, but quite beige. They just were. I don't know why. They had a big thing with beige, but they did. Anyway, so he and then you'd have this one guy on his own, he'd be sitting there, and it'd look like he hadn't left his parents' basement for a very, very long time, and he'd be sitting there with he'd look like a caricature from South Park. Seriously, that's how old I am. I remember the first episode of South Park. Jesus Christ, he's sitting there with like a little trestle table for one. He's got a little bit of A4 paper, and written on the A4 paper it says Young Conservatives in like marker pen, and he's sitting there like with his arms, because it's before mobile phones, because you don't even sit there playing on your mobile phone. You just have to basically sit there and stare at the wall. We spent a lot of time staring at walls when I was younger. I'm waiting for people to turn up. I'm not knowing that they weren't going to turn up, because we didn't have a mobile phone to let you know, so you just kind of assume that they were going to turn up until like 2 hours had passed, and you're like, okay, fuck it, I'm going now. John says, I think he'll be there in September. I'm hoping that he gets sanctioned for lying to Parliament and he gets recalled so his constituents can deal with him. Well, here's the question that I want to ponder to you, and someone mentioned this earlier in the comments. Is it better for him to go now, or is it better that he stays on until the next election, or continues damaging the Conservative Party? And here's my 2 cents, okay? Here's my 2 euro cents. That should have been my name of my show, shouldn't it? My 2 euro cents. That would have really pissed off the fucking Brexiteers. But yeah, Stuart Andrew has just resigned as housing minister. So that's another departure. So I think that takes it up to, I don't know, 17 or something that have resigned from his cabinet. God, this ship is leaking like a motherfucker. But yeah, what was I saying? About whether it's better for him to stay on or him to go. I think it's better that he goes. Okay, let me explain why. He is a charismatic cunt. Yes, he's a cunt, but he's a charismatic cunt. He's a character. He makes people laugh. When I see the Mayor of London dangling like a stupid cunt from a fucking zip wire with his little fucking flags looking like a twat, I look at him and go, cunt. But then there are people who are very hard of thinking and easy to make laugh. You know the type. They think Mrs. Brown's Boys is the comedy of the century. You've met them. And they look at that and go, oh, how delightful. I don't. I'm repulsed by it. I think, oh my God, this picture is going to go all over the world and people are going to think to themselves that Britain is run by a bunch of twats, a bunch of dickheads, a bunch of fucking arsewipes, which it is. But, I do worry about the reputational damage that this party, that this current government has caused us over the last 12 years. Well, since its inception, actually, in the 1700s or whatever the fuck it was. Anyway, Nadine is a worse alternative to Boris. I don't want to think about Boris. Nadine being Prime Minister. She'll never win. He's converted the ship into a submarine. Indeed, there are as many resignations as BJ has kids. Well, he's a cunt, the sort of cunt that other cunts look up to. That's very true, John Barleycorn. Very well put. 19 resignations now, according to Duke Vengeance. So that's good because we fucking hate Boris Johnson. But yeah, so the problem with him being charismatic and being quite funny is that we're all human, okay? And one of our human foibles is that we are much more willing to forgive people who make us laugh. We are. I do this myself. I have friends who have done the dirty on me in the past. I've been a lot more forgiving if they've been a funny friend. If they've been a friend who I've thought, well, actually, they're kind of boring. I'm not going to miss them. I'm not going to miss them. Oh, well, never mind. I'll see you in a school reunion in 20 years' time. Bye. Whereas someone who's funny, I think, well, actually, I kind of like being made to laugh. I kind of like that feeling of laughing. It's good. It's a nice feeling. I like that. And what Boris Johnson does is he lets his people, the cunts who like him, he's the cunt, he gives them that feeling of like, oh, it makes me laugh. It gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling. And also, he's a massive fucking racist, xenophobic fuckbag. So he makes them feel better about being racist, xenophobic fuckbags. And all this rolled into one means that he can bounce back from anything. He can bounce back from this. He can bounce back from this. I know I'm probably going to get an update on my phone now. It's going to say Boris Johnson resigns. But he can, if he wishes to, bounce back for this, especially given that the next election will not take place for 2 fucking years. Or whenever the Tories want it to, because the one concession to the one of the 2 concessions to the Lib Dems for going into the coalition in 2010 was for the Fixed Term Parliament Act to come into force, which it did from 2011 onwards, only to be used in the most ridiculous way by the dickheads in charge of the Labour and the Lib Dems, Swinson and Corbyn, the fucking absolute fucking tools of human beings. They used this Fixed Term Parliament Act to allow them to call a parliament when they wish to, not when the ruling party, which has the majority in parliament, wishes to. So they could have said no. They could have said no, Boris Johnson. We're not having an election. We're not having an election. We're to our discontent. We could have had a second referendum. We could have had a lot of things, but of course, that wasn't to be. That wasn't to be. Davis calls for PM to go again. They're talking about PMQs. I've already seen that. Guinness Book of Records for MP resignations. Well, it's government minister resignations, if anything. But yes. So anyway, the idea that the Conservatives couldn't just pull an election out of their arse when they were feeling like they wanted one because they were doing well in the polls were over after 2011 because of this deal with the Lib Dems, and then in 2021, I think it was, might have been this year, 2022, they quietly got rid of the Fixed Term Parliament Act. So now the Tories can just declare an election whenever they want without the support of dickheads like Corbyn and Swinson, because they had a fucking brain between them. They could have said, no, we're not having a fucking election. What the fuck are you on? And they wouldn't have been able to have an election. You see, it wouldn't have happened. But they did have an election because, I don't know, secret agents of the fucking Tories. I don't fucking know. BJ will never resign. The government will collapse around him. I fucking hope so. Emmy says, young Conservatives, great capitalist machine, churning them out, brainwashed to believe their own bullshit, and fuck us all over to protect the colonial, imperial, alternative reality they live in. Well, you can't say fairer than that. Emmy, you're completely right. There's nothing more depressing than a young Conservative, honestly. Honestly, they are the most depressing creatures on the planet. You know, like Marvin, the paranoid android from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's just one look and you're like, oh, God, no. Bozo can't stop having scandal after scandal, week after week. I hope he stays and to destroy the Tory vote in the next election. Yeah, but this is the thing. A week is a long time in politics. I mean, a day is a long time in politics. This time yesterday, then no one in the cabinet, in the fresh crop of the cabinet, had resigned, and now 20 of them has resigned or something. A lot of them that I've never heard of because they're all junior ministers. So, but yes, the Fixed Term Parliament Act was repealed in March this year. Well, there you go. Thank you, She32. And Yoash is saying, well, he's not going to put much trough to the Parliament anymore. Huge majority. Much through the Parliament anymore. Huge majority or no. Yeah, Yoash, well, I don't know. I don't know, because I still think that the Tories are evil, and they will try and get their horrible policies through, diminishing human rights, rewriting the Human Rights Act, so it just defends rich humans and not poor humans alike. So it's not. They shouldn't really call it a Human Rights Act, because it's just like a cunt rights act. So if you're an absolute fucking loaded pack of shit who inherited all their wealth from their parents and then gambled on the stock exchange, made a little penny on the interest. On the interest they get from their savings that they inherited from their parents, and didn't pay fucking inheritance tax because they could afford to have clever lawyers who say, oh, actually, they weren't actually from this country, they are non-domiciled, so give me 30 grand and you can save yourself £3 billion on inheritance tax. There you go. That's how you do it. Lovely. Which is really fucking whatever. I feel fucking sorry for them, to be honest. What? Young Conservatives? I don't. I don't. I mean, I don't feel sorry for them in the same way I don't feel sorry for young killers, like people who are underage who go and kill someone, and it's like, oh, but they were only young. I don't give a shit. I was similar age to the boys who killed Jamie Bulger in Liverpool, and I knew at that tender age of 10 or something, I knew that killing fucking people was wrong, because I don't know, I had parents who brought me up right, maybe, or maybe I was just a decent fucking human being, and that kind of like feeling is innate. So no, I've got no fucking sympathy for them at all. They go fuck themselves to death. I don't care. John Barleycorn says he either needs to go this year or he'll still be there at the next general election. The last thing we need is a change of leader just before the general election, otherwise they'll pull the old "we're different now" trick again. Well, John Barleycorn, that is very true. We need to go now for that very reason, because the whole, oh yeah, but that was the last administration. Then again, what if they do that and then they call a fucking election next year? I mean, Starmer's not exactly setting the world alight, and we do need to have a discussion over his stance on Europe, on rejoining the single market, the customs union, and bringing back freedom of movement. But we're not going to have that conversation today because we're talking about Boris Johnson. Tory Civil War, time to sit back with the nachos and watch the shit show. Yes, indeed. Duke Vengeance says, I wasn't brought up as a child, I was dragged up. Yeah, that's a line from something, you know, that song that got covered by the Sex Pistols. I wasn't born. No. Lost in the Supermarket by The Clash. I wasn't born... Oh, no, I don't know. No, maybe it's not. Anyway, yeah, if you were referencing late 70s punk, then good. If you weren't, never mind. Julian Assange. I wasn't born so much as I fell out. I think that's the line from Lost in the Supermarket. Okay, right, let's just go. Julian Assange has been tortured. I don't like the guy, but criminal acts seem to be acceptable now. I'm not happy about Julian Assange being tortured. I'm not that fussed about him being in jail. I don't think he should be deported to America, but I do think he should be in jail because he's a fucking scumbag who not only gave away the names of informers to the Taliban and to ISIS, and then when he was told you're giving away the names and identities of informers and people are going to kill them and their families, he said, well, fuck them. He did say that, you know. I'm paraphrasing. I don't think he said fuck them. I think he said, oh, well, you know, it's their own fault for being informers, I guess. No one likes a snitch. Yeah. And the other thing is that he also supported Trump. He and his organisation, WikiLeaks, did actually drop thousands of really boring emails from Hillary Clinton, who's the most boring woman who's ever entered politics. She's the Lisa Simpson of American politics, and no one likes the Lisa Simpson-centric episode of The Simpsons. And they couldn't find anything. But the point is, they went after her. They didn't go after Trump at all. Trump, a man who sexually assaulted over a dozen women, nothing. Didn't go after him. Didn't touch him. And he was having meetings with fucking Farage, so, yeah. I mean, I don't want him to be tortured and I don't want him to be deported to the USA. But I do think he should be in fucking jail or in the sea, along with the fucking Tory party, Trump, and Nigel fucking Farage and all his privately educated cunt mates who, you know, are just the worst. Are just the motherfucking worst. Starmer's picture B, he tried the clown and he made a circus, now try the experienced lawyer. Yeah, people don't like lawyers though. I think it was Shakespeare who said first we kill all the lawyers. Well, one of his characters said first we kill all the lawyers. I think the tax to pacify the backbench and do look new shiny. Here's some sweets and sit down and shut up. Reference young conservatives. Oh, sorry, I can only see what's actually coming up on the monitor at the moment. I don't want to open up a new window because it was making my computer run really slowly. Nigel garbage. Don't forget, Trump and Epstein were close friends, yeah? And Clinton, not Hillary, but her husband Bill, and Prince Andrew. And why is it that Ghislaine Maxwell, the one person who didn't pay to have sex with underage girls on Epstein's Island, why is she the only one in jail? I mean, she should be in jail because she's a fucking sex trafficker and she's a horrible, vile little gobshite, privately educated piece of shit who's in jail at the moment and will be for the rest of her life. Yes, like our fucking Kelly. Only, yeah, she didn't actually rape anyone. The people who did are still living at large in the States and over here. Still multi fucking millionaires. Prince Andrew, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton. They should all be in fucking jail. Gobshites. Absolute gobshites to a man. Johnson shit crime minister. I like that. Well, it was one hell of a gardener, so many money trees. Yeah, indeed. Mick, it was fucking awful. According to him, it was all Alistair Campbell's fault. Yeah, that was Nazim Zahawi this morning on the radio and on the TV, blaming Alistair Campbell. I mean, oh my God, what? How does that even just, make it stop. Anyway, Lib Dem says Johnson is terrified of quitting. They're just talking about what happened in Prime Minister's questions here. I might pop over to the Guardian site. They might have better breaking news. I want to see who else goes. It's really fun. This is kind of like dominoes. I wish I made a little graphic and I could have little X's going up and every time someone left. Javid said the problem starts at the top and that's not going to change. Indeed. So, yeah, Stuart Andrew resigned as housing minister, so that's who he was. It was the fault of those Tory MPs present at the Carlton Club for not stopping the sex pest, according to Johnson. Yeah, that's what it was said today in Parliament. Basically, how disgusting it was that was his attitude of you should have stopped him. You shouldn't have let him drink so much. You know what he's like. Even though Boris Johnson apparently forgot what he was like when he sent out his ministers on Monday to go and fucking defend him. Oh, yeah, he didn't know what he was like. Well, he did. Oh, yeah, but he forgot. He forgot what he was like. Well, has he got fucking Alzheimer's? Do you want a Prime Minister who forgets shit like that? I mean, if I had employed a sex pest, I think I'll fucking remember it. I think I'll fucking remember it, wouldn't you? A sex pest? Someone who actually was found to have sexually assaulted another man in the course of his job? Like, what? Well, the guy was, part of the Conservatives, and they're like, oh, fuck him. And then this piece of shit, this, what's his name, Pincher, fucking gobshite, right? He is still the MP for fucking Tamworth. I mean, Tamworth's a shithole as it is. It's full of fucking Tories these days. It used to be quite nice. It used to be a bit of a Labour stronghold, sort of north of Birmingham, I think. Where is it? North east of Birmingham? I don't know. Someone find out for me on the map. I'm not very good at geography. Anyway, Tamworth. It's been Tory since 2010. And, their fucking Member of Parliament now, right, is a fucking registered sex pest. He is a fucking registered, acknowledged sex pest. That cunt wouldn't get a fucking job cleaning the bogs in a fucking school. He wouldn't pass the DBS check. He wouldn't pass a fucking DBS check, and he is the MP. Still, he might be independent because he's lost the whip. He's not a Conservative MP, but he's still a fucking MP. Get this. And some of the people who go to see the MP, sometimes it's about how much they love cats. Sometimes it's about speeding tickets. Sometimes it's about bullshit. But sometimes it's about the fact that they have very personal issues that they want to talk to their MP about. Some of them have been abused. And this fucking gobshite, this sex pest, is their MP. That's the person they have to go to. They have to go to an abuser, a known abuser, a man who would fail his DBS check. They have to go up to this known fucking abuser and say, I need some help. What's happening? I'm being abused. Can you believe this shit? Can you believe this is the fucking country we're fucking living in right now? Where no cunt will fucking resign? That little horrible little bastard, what's his name? Neil Parish or whatever it was, who was looking at porn in the fucking House of Commons. He was looking at porn. He was looking at fucking porn in the House of Commons. He wouldn't resign. He was forced out. He was going to stand again. He was going to fucking stand in his old seat. Fucking Owen twat-faced fucking gobshite fucking, I've forgotten his fucking surname, Owen cuntface, you know the one. Last year, he wouldn't fucking resign. He tried to get his party to change the fucking... Owen Paterson. Owen Paterson tried to change the fucking rules of the fucking whole of Parliament to keep his cunting job. What is wrong with these people? Oh, actually, I won't ask that because the list is fucking endless. What is right with these people? What is right with these fucking Tory cunts? And the people who vote for them and go, yeah, doing a great job, doing a bang-up job, owning the libtards. Fuck off. I remember in the 80s, Tamworth was famous for two pigs that I say the Tamworth 2. I remember the Tamworth 2. Tamworth is near Birmingham off the M6 toll stroke A5. Yeah, thank you. My geography's not so bad, I tell you. It's way past Sutton Coldfield. This was so brutal after all my years of PMQs. I've never seen such a brutal takedown of a PM like this. I've never seen Tory front bench looking so depressed. No cheers or likes from the Tory back bench. Indeed. You were groped last night. You say, tell me more. Says 3 The Sims cards. Indeed. Emmy says, I was just about to say he wouldn't pass a DBS and he contacted very vulnerable people. It makes me want to scream with rage. What about duty of care? Safeguarding. Exactly, Emmy. Exactly. This guy should be in fucking jail. Not in a safeguarding role. I mean, this is just obvious to anyone with half a fucking brain. But obviously not obvious to Boris Johnson, his dickhead wank cabinet that he's got left, the few that remain. It's been taking a long time, but Javid really put the knife in and twisted. It was quite satisfying to hear Savage Javid, the demonic bollock, really, tell Boris Johnson that he is a lying syphilitic cunt. I don't think that's the word he used, but he did basically call him a liar. We're sent out to go and defend bullshit every week. We have to go and speak to people in Parliament and on the TV stations and on the radio. And we have to speak to people in the constituencies. And we have to defend your shit. And we're sick of it. We're sick of defending your shit because you know what happens if you defend other people's shit? You get covered in shit. And that's what's happened with these motherfuckers. The Med-J of Fayum says, I want Boris to continue and see the Tories suffer the most devastating election results since 1997, I think. Yeah, well, it would be. There are about 150 MPs in that one. There's one man that'll be happy, Jeremy Corbyn, after all this, lol. Indeed. Now we all wait for Rishi's statement. That's going to be exciting. I heard Rishi Sunak's not making a statement about his resignation. He could do, but he's decided that he won't. We're not getting any new events here. The last new thing was 21 minutes ago when Stuart Andrew, the housing minister, resigned. So nothing new there. So my take on it is I would rather Boris Johnson goes now. I would rather he goes now because whoever replaces him will not be as personable as him. He's not going to be as funny as Boris Johnson to people who find that kind of shit funny, fans of Mrs. Brown's Boys, etc. Sorry for being really snooty about Mrs. Brown's Boys, but fuck me, it's not funny. Fuck me, it is not funny. It's a fucking insult that gets on TV. And much better comedies like Monkey Dust, no one's heard of. And you're like, oh my God. Like, seriously. Tamworth is where I had a racist episode. 2 French teacher of a school told me to stop looking for a teacher job. They suggested me to go. Too many to go to London. Too many Spaniards there. As a waitress, I could be deported. Oh my God. Were you groped? Are you gay? Yes. Maybe it wouldn't have happened if you weren't gay. Yeah. That's the sort of attitude that you would expect from the Conservatives, and who seems to be the shittest HR department in the world. I mean, you just look at the 2019 intake. Those people had to sit down in a room and fill out a fucking form that said why they should be a candidate for the Tories. I mean, obviously, they didn't expect to win all those seats when they put those candidates in place because they didn't know just how bad it was going to get with Jeremy Corbyn and his gang of fucking idiots on the Labour side who decided to allow the Conservatives to have an election in the middle of winter while Labour had the most unpopular leader in the world in charge. You've got to understand that he was the most unpopular leader of a Democratic Party in the world. In the 2019 election, Trump had already been in power for 2 years. 2 fucking years. And his approval ratings were still better. This after he'd been impeached the first time. It was still... Oh, no, it wasn't actually. No, he hadn't been impeached the first time. Had he? 2019? Yeah, probably. But I think he'd had his phone call with Zelensky in the summer of 2019, although I might be getting my time a bit mixed up because in the Marvel movies, they had the blip when Thanos clicked his fingers and everyone lost 5 years. I feel that way a little bit about COVID. It feels like someone's gone... And it's like 2 years later, and we're like, what? Where'd the last 2 years go? That's fucking crazy. What? But yeah, Boris Johnson. Donald Trump was still more popular. Than Jeremy Corbyn in the December of 2019. And Jeremy Corbyn looked at that statistic and thought, let's have a general election. I remember Boris Johnson going, go on. He was like this over the dispatch box going, go on, have an election. Let's have an election. Let's have a general election. Come on, let's have a general election. And the fucking dickhead Corbyn went, all right then, we'll have an election because everybody loved me. No. Your sycophants do, the people around you, your little fucking personality cult, they fucking love you. They will die for you. They would take a fucking bullet for you. But there's 66 million other people on this fucking island who fucking wouldn't give you the time of day. Let's put it that way. Anyway, question. If Pincher was a teacher, could they raise a safeguarding inquiry at the police and they could investigate? Can we as concerned citizens raise a safeguarding complaint if enough of us do it? Yeah, let's do it. Let's raise a safeguarding complaint in Tamworth. And that makes sense. Emmy, I think we should definitely do that. Duke Vengeance, I wonder what my family think all of this. I'm about to find out. I feel like that my whole life, says number 3. The people shouldn't be shocked. Cameron was the Jimmy Savile of pig fuckers. Yeah, he fucking was indeed. He fucked a pig's head as part of his initiation. Oh my God. Anyway. Right, good luck, DV. Yeah, indeed. Right, I've been on for over an hour now, so I'm going to call it a end of an episode, and I've been threatening to start doing my weekly shows again, like Hughes of the World and Hughes at 10. And hopefully I can start doing that again this week, hopefully. So maybe tomorrow I will be doing a Hughes of the World special on, I think, still Côte d'Ivoire. I'm still going to do Côte d'Ivoire. I might be mixing it up a little bit though, but it's good to have these things recorded, I guess. But in the meantime, I've been updating my old Odyssey website, the odysseyexpedition.com. So if you want to go over there and quickly read my blogs before I correct them all so I don't come across as such a monumental twat. Oh my God, 13 and a half years ago, Graham. Jesus, 30-year-old Graham. Oh my God, the stuff I wrote and posted online. I mean, like, what was I fucking thinking? I go through them. The problem is there's over 700 blog entries because obviously the journey went on for 4 fucking years. So there's a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of rants about, I don't know, architecture, modern music, downloading, you name it. But also kind of like disparaging comments about people's countries, which I'm reading the back now and go, why the fuck did I say that? What the fuck? If I was reading someone else's blog and they came out and said that, I'd stop reading the fucking blog. So I've been correcting it as I go along. So if you're quick, I'm just getting that website updated at the moment, and I'm pleased to announce I've finally cracked it. So this is just a little bit of Graham news. Graham news from Graham Hughes. For a long time, I have wanted to make a website for people who want an alternative to flying. And I want to make it really user accessible. I want it to be a website where you can just pick a country anywhere in the world and it'll give you all the information. And I know there's wiki travel and I know there's some other things, but this will bring it all together. And you would be able to type in Botswana and it will give you a page and it will tell you all of the entrances and exits to Botswana, which is open, which is not, how much it costs to get in and out, basically by bus or by train, whether there's a train to get out, a little bit of information about what it's like to travel overland to Botswana. And do that, times 200 and do it for every country in the world. And I've been agonizing for a very long time about what to call this website because I don't want people thinking that I'm saying that they that they shouldn't fly. Is that a bad way of putting it? I don't want people feeling like I'm having a go and saying, people getting on EasyJet flights to go places. I'm getting an EasyJet flight next month to go somewhere on holiday with my family, because it's just not economically viable for us to all take the train to where we're going, and as a result, or drive. So we're gonna fly. So I don't want to say that flying is evil. I don't want to tell people not to fly. And for a long time, I was going to call it no fly zone, but obviously because of the connotations with war, and obviously now with Ukraine and everything, can't really call it that. My friend Oscar, he registered me a domain which was nofly.ninja. Which I was going to use because I kind of like the idea of, like, here's the No-Fly Ninja. He's going to tell you how this all works. I have a little ninja designed by one of my friends in Liverpool who's a professional artist, designer. And but the .ninja domain, like, it cost a bit more than a .com domain. And it was kind of like difficult to explain to people that was the end of the address, because you go, it's nofly.ninja. And they're like, what, .uk? No, that's it. That's the end. Ninja is the... So... I finally came to me while I was, I don't know, on the toilet probably. But I thought I'd call my website, which is going to encourage people to travel the world without flying, without being too, like, shrill, kind of like, don't fucking fly or you're going to kill everything. I'm going to call it Fly Another Day. Come on, you like that? You like, come on. It took me ages to come up with that one. Anyway, so it's named now after the shittest Bond film. But I have got flyanotherday.com. Don't try and go there at the moment. It'll just redirect you probably to grahamdavidhughes.com. But if you want to check that out, please be my guest. That should be coming online in the next couple of months, along with, pleased to announce, the second book of the Odyssey Expedition trilogy, Top of the World, which I kind of promised to people like 2 years ago. Actually, I promised to people like 10 years ago, but I don't have an agent in this country and I don't have a publishing deal. So this is a case of spending a lot of my spare time. And at the moment, I've not had any spare time to be able to work on it. But, the spare time that I have, I can spend writing up the second part of the book. So, yes, that's what I'm up to. Sorry for boring you all to death there with some of my own housekeeping stuff, but I hope to be back tomorrow with Hughes of the World, but just, I don't know, you've got to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and you'll get a little message when I come on live tomorrow night. It'd be great to have a little chat, and maybe afterwards we can go over to the Discord server for tea and cookies. But that'll be at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So then, don't send children to Polesworth Academy. French teachers are racist, and the director does not give a shit about that. I will not send my children to the Polesworth Academy. I will not. Okay. Thank you for the public service information there, David. I appreciate it. Obsidian may help. Indeed. TLDs can be anything these days. Get an agent. No. I can't get an agent, mate. Didn't go to private school. Keep up at the back. Did have an agent in Australia. He was very posh. It's called Benithan. He calls the kid Benithan. Hello, I'm Benithan. Pleased to meet you. Fucking hell. Yeah, it's very posh. The publishing world is insanely posh. And it has gatekeepers. And it doesn't let people who look like me and sound like me in unless we marry a footballer. And there's not enough gay footballers for that to happen, unfortunately. Yeah, so I've just got to make it. And then I've got a guy I've got my friend Jared in America who's happy to do all the publishing shit for me. You know, they get the ISBN number and register it at the Library of Congress and all that kind of stuff to make it official. Because there's a bit of a difference between self-publishing and using an indie publisher. So I use an indie publisher in the States. So it's a little bit different. And you probably make more money out of self-publishing, but I feel like it's less legit. When people look at it, they go, oh, yes, it's self-published memoirs. It's like, yeah, no one's interested. So there you go. Ginger.ninja. Maybe one day. So hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully Boris Johnson will be gone. Tomorrow. And what I might do, just to let you know, is if anything major does happen, I might just do an impromptu show. If Boris Johnson does come out, if the podium comes out in front of number 10, I might jump on here and have the telly on and, sit in the corner and call him a cunt while he resigns. Not that I think he'll ever resign. I think he's got to be kicked out. I think he's got to be pulled out by his fingernails, grasping onto the fucking door frame of number 10. It's going to be quite embarrassing. Joy, to have your ISBN. Yeah, LU2D Games. I've already got my ISBN for the first book of the trilogy, Man of the World. I will get one for the Top of the World. Don't worry. No problem. Get mad, get angry, get revenge, says Duke Vengeance. And I think that's a good note to end on. So thank you so much for watching. Let's hope this is the end, finally, of the horror show that is Alexander Boris, the Pfeffel Johnson, the most gruesome gob of phlegm that has ever darkened the corridors of power of this once great nation. Until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and where's my Patreon screen? Oh, there it is. Goodbye.